All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Friday. Happy Friday to everyone out there. December 5th. We have a decent-sized 12-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video like we always do. I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll break them down. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within each game as well. But as always, guys, make sure to keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That's where you'll find all of my final plays. So I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest, if you do want to fade me, all of that absolutely free down in the pinned comment. Yesterday, we go 1-1. There were a few other looks that we talked about in yesterday's video that obviously I wish, hindsight 2020, looking back, wish we ended up rolling with his final plays because we saw the board decently yesterday, but we only rolled with two final plays. Noah Clowney over 14.5 points. That was a call of a century. The dude had like 14 real early in the game, finished with 20 plus. And then the Raptors on the money line. I mean, they got down to a early deficit, battled back. It was a really entertaining game to watch, but they do fall a few points shy there. Still think it was a decent enough look, but obviously you got to wear the L, right? A 1-1 night. Now we're talking about that L. And there was no L on the ride of the day yesterday. Let's pump in some crowd noise. Drop the cha-ching. What a good call here for the same game parlay. It was from Gio. Had Jeremiah Fears over 14.5 points. That cashes. And then Jaden McDaniels. We did have to sweat a little bit over 19.5 PRA by the box score, right? Doesn't look like we had to sweat it at all. I think he had like 14, 5, and 7, something like that. So you know what? One more cha-ching. What a good ride of the day hit. And you can see the ride of the day tracker is updated right here with Gio's win. If you guys are looking at that being like, what the heck is the ride of the day? It is very simple. It's just something cool and unique we do here on the channel. All you have to do is use that hashtag ride of the day down in the comments. I jump on board with at least one person's play each and every day. I roll with you, right? I ride with you, some might say. Get it? Ride of the day. You get a shout out in the next video, win or loss. If you win, like Gio did here, we continue to roll and ride with your plays for the coming days, and you go on a little bit of a streak, hopefully. If you do lose, you still get the shout out, but unfortunately, we're talking about an L, and I don't think anyone wants to do that, right? So go ahead and get those hashtag ride of the days down in the comments. Shout out to Gio. Looking forward to seeing what you throw our way today. But guys, before we jump into game number one, I'm going to ask you to do one thing for me. Hit that like button. Absolutely crush that like button. Act like you can dunk. You're going down on a fast break, and boom, you hit the like button like that. Hit the subscribe button as well. And let's go ahead and jump into game number one here. We got the Celtics taking on the Lakers. A good one to start us off. Obviously, one of the biggest rivalries in sports history. I don't know how much juice either one of these squads has as of right now, but nonetheless, as a Celtics fan, I'm very much looking forward to a Friday night Celtics-Lakers game, right? Celtics right now 6.5 point favorites. That total sitting at 225. Both of these teams played yesterday. The Lakers coming off of a win against Toronto. We kind of already talked about that briefly. And the Celtics demolished their opponent. Unfortunately, their opponent was Washington. I don't know how much we can claim for that one. Right now, Jaylen Brown and Luka both missed yesterday. I expect them to be back today. In fact, they are in the expected lineups, but because they are on back-to-backs, these two teams have a little bit more time to submit their lineups and injury news, right? So we'll keep an eye on that. Assuming those two guys play, I don't mind the Celtics minus 6.5 in this spot. You can even see it via our NBA dashboard, which I'll talk about how to get access to this a little bit later in the video. But you can see here, everything kind of checks out in terms of the Celtics defensively, I would say, in terms of our new addition here, new team play type ranks, right? Really cool stuff. Lakers do a lot of isolation. Celtics one of the better teams in isolation frequency defensively and effective field goal percentage. And then same thing when it comes over to the pick and roll ball handler. This makes sense, right? Luka's their best player. He's the guy with the ball the most. Isolation, pick and roll, all that makes sense. Celtics very good at defending that. Over here, you can see the Lakers do, get most of their points, 10th in the league in terms of points in the paint. Well, the Celtics number 2 in the league right now in terms of points in the paint allowed. Flip it over to the offensive side of things. Celtics right down here. Obviously, we know they take a lot of threes. They're number 1 in terms of above the break threes. Two things check out. First and foremost, points allowed from 3. Lakers not exactly the best perimeter defense. And right here, you can see they're allowing 38% to their opponents from deep. So I don't necessarily mind the idea of the Celtics here in this spot. I will say 6.5 points against a rival on a back-to-back is a lot to ask for, but Jaylen coming back, I think that this team is just better than the Lakers overall, right? And we've already seen, LeBron's resurgence or lack thereof of resurgence adding into the lineup and whatnot isn't exactly the same. I mean, the guy had 8 points last night. He killed his streak since 2007 of having 10 points in at least every game he played in. Now, in terms of the total, it's an interesting one. I think I'm going to lean towards the over just because, again, I do look at the Celtics being able to hit threes, but it's nothing that I'm like over the moon, head over heels about because, well, obviously, right? The Celtics, I like their defense in this spot. So maybe, just maybe, we could kind of trim the fat and look at a Celtics team total over. In terms of a player prop, there's only one that I have my eye on right now. It's Derek White, but I want to get a good price at him over 2.5 threes. His last 2 games here, 4 and 5. Obviously, you like to see that. In terms of back-to-back games this year, he's 1 of 3, but the last one they played, he had 3. And him in general, just at home this year, he's this in 7 of 11 games. So I do like the spot here. And again, this is a Lakers squad that doesn't exactly defend that perimeter, nor the above the break, specifically of the perimeter, all that well. Next up, we have the Magic taking on the Heat. In this one, Paolo Banchero, who hasn't played in, just about a month, is questionable, so he may be coming back. 2 big injuries to note, or to monitor, I would say, on the Miami side of things. Both Tyler Hero and Norm Powell questionable in this one. Miami now has lost 2 of their last 3 games, but they've won 7 of their last 10. Orlando in the same exact boat. 7 of their last 10 games they've taken. Now, they've played earlier in the year, way earlier in the year, right? October 22nd, Orlando won 125 to 121. I would say that this is an Orlando team that does match up well, especially at home against Miami. The problem is, I think that these 2 teams match up pretty well just in general. They both have played really, really hard schedules. They both play around the similar pace and both have a very similar sort of defensive intensity and edge. 5.5 points, I think, is going to come up pretty damn crucial in this one. So, yeah, I don't mind the idea of the Heat getting the 5.5, but it would have to be on the heels of Tyler Hero being ruled in, Norm Powell being ruled in. If those guys are out and you're still getting a 5.5 number, even without Banchero, if he doesn't get the go, I like the Magic. So it's really injury dependent here. But again, I think this comes down to them just playing very similar basketball in a sense, prioritizing those points in the paint, playing good defense, both teams playing really good perimeter defense, but not exactly playing the best of defense in the paint. Could lead to, just a back and forth game. Now, when I say back and forth game, I don't want to sit here and be like, well, I do think it's going to obviously be an over, right? This is a Miami team that, yes, transition frequency so far this year, they're number 1 in the entire league. They play at the 3rd highest pace. Orlando, top 10 pace team, and transition frequency is 6th. But Miami, in terms of effective field goal percentage against in transition, 2nd best team in the entire league, and Orlando's middle of the pack. So I do think we could see some defense in transition, and this could be a very high-scoring game, right? You could look at a game and be like, wow, yeah, that thing's 118 to 116 or something like that, and be like, oh, wow, we're still looking at a number that is very, very close and around this, 241, right? That 118 and 116 is what, 230. And we're actually it shouldn't even say really close to that, right? It's a very high scoring number, close game, still not all that close to 241. That's kind of my idea here, that we don't have a 106 to 101 type game, but we do have a game that could be high scoring, but defense shows up late in the game and they kind of hit the brakes and we look at an under 241. Now, from a player prop perspective, I think there's too many injuries as of right now to fully judge. I would probably say, I'm looking at Andrew Wiggins yet again. The problem is he killed us last time out. 18 field goal attempts, he only had 11 points. So I would look at him, especially if you're wanting to take the risk that Tyler Hero or Norm Powell, one of those guys, doesn't play. Wiggins probably gets a ton more action. All right, real quick, guys, I want to talk to you about Sleeper. If you have not checked them out yet, you are missing out. Some might say you're sleeping. Get it? SGA, 0.5 points is his line tonight. Do you think he's going to hit that? He's definitely going to have a foul shot, that's for damn sure, and that'll count towards that as well. But that's not even the best deal they're offering you right now, right? Free $20 entry. You do not even need to deposit, meaning you could click the link down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment, use code GUYBOSTON, GUYBOSTON, and just try Sleeper out. You do not even need to deposit. Free $20 entry. See what you think of the app. If it's available in your state, go ahead and check it out. Now, you're going to want to deposit because I do believe this is one of the better interfaces and just the offerings that they have on this app, DFS apps out there. when you do deposit, they will match your first deposit as well. So the deals do not just stop at this free $20 entry. And why do we like these DFS apps? Because of all the promos and boosts and discounts that they offer. Sleeper's one of the best in the game. So go ahead and check it out, guys. That link, again, will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. Use code GUYBOSTON when signing up, if not, just to go ahead and get that free $20. Now, I'm not telling you to do that, right? Sleeper, if you're listening to this, I want people to deposit too, because I want them to experience the fun that I experience. But in terms of dipping your toe into the water, a free $20 is a free $20. Go check it out. That link will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. Let's get back into these games. Atlanta taking on the Nuggets. I've kind of gone back and forth in this one, specifically because that number is a decently high number, right? 6.5 here. Now, this Atlanta team just 4-5 so far this year at home. Denver 9-2 on the road. We got to give them credit. Atlanta's 5-5 in their last 10. Denver is 6-4. And again, like, I do think that this Denver team is better than Atlanta, but I've been saying Atlanta has a pretty damn good defense this entire season. Some of you guys in the comments agree, some disagree. The problem here is Jalen Johnson is questionable. And if you've watched any, or even just like followed at all, Atlanta basketball this year, if that dude's questionable, then you're pretty much missing 40% of your offense in a sense. You know what I mean? And he's very, very good. On the other side of things, yes, we're still without Aaron Gordon on the Denver side, but no injury designation for Jamal Murray, no injury for Jokic. They're both questionable in that last one. Jamal Murray clearly questionable. He dropped like 50 plus, right? But nonetheless, I do think Atlanta can keep this game close if those guys play. And Kristaps is also on the injury report. That's going to be massive. Both of those guys down low. Now, no, they're not exactly the main defenders or anything like that, but this is a Nuggets team that sure as hell will prioritize scoring in the paint. And Atlanta already, if you were, I've said they have a good defense. I know, which is crazy because they haven't been a good defensive team in years past. But if you do kind of nitpick one thing that they're not all that tremendous at, it is points in the paint. Bottom 10 team in this league this year. At home this year, bottom near 5. So it is a little worrisome for me to back that. But I do, again, think that, Jalen Johnson, Kristaps kind of changed the flow of things, and at least their body's down there. So if those guys play, maybe it's crazy to go up against a 9-2 Nuggets team on the road, right? But I don't mind the idea of the Atlanta Hawks here, plus the 6.5. I'll sound the psycho alert alarm just in case anyone thinks I'm crazy. Another thing I should note, Atlanta's a top 5 defense in terms of the post-up. Number 1 frequency team in terms of post-ups, no kidding, with Jokic, is the Nuggets. So I think Atlanta, the defense may come through here. So give me them plus the 6.5 points. In terms of the total, much like that Heat and Magic game, I do think we'll have some points in this one, right? I do. But I think 238.5 is just a tad bit high. Now, in terms of, this is where I get even crazier, in terms of what we have from a player prop perspective. Nikola Jokic, obviously a very, very good player, but his points line right now is up there at 30.5, 29.5 now. It's actually moved. He hasn't hit the over in 5 straight games. In his last 5, matchup dependent and all that, but he's averaging just 23.4 points per game. He's been playing really well. He has double-digit assists in 3 of those 5. Obviously, rebounds, he's been doing pretty well as well. I think he has a 20 rebound game mixed in there. But the points is what I'm looking at here. And, on the road this year, he's been kind of shaky to this line. 8 of 11 games have gone over. Now, is it crazy for me to be like Jokic under in a spot in which a team doesn't exactly, play the best interior defense? It is definitely crazy. Another psycho alert alarm is worthy, but kind of looking at Jokic's under here. Now, one last thing. They played last year. I think it was almost like a year ago today, and he had almost 50 points on them. I'll leave you with that, but I do like Jokic's under. Hey, just a reminder, guys, if you are enjoying the content, you're enjoying the video or anything that I say, smart, stupid, anything in between, go ahead and hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. And we're reading comments and interacting with the community down there, so make sure to go ahead and let me know what you think down in the comments. You want to take it a step further and build this great relationship, we have a free Discord. That link is down in the description as well. But yeah, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get back to these games. All right, Toronto taking on Charlotte. This is kind of a tough one, I would say, because, again, and I'm going to sound like a broken record, guys, but there are some spreads today that are right in that, meaty spot, right? 6.5, 7.5, 8.5. That make things a little bit harder than normal, but this is a tough one because I do think Toronto is the far better team, and they're due for a win, right? They're just 1-3 in their last 4 games, and guess what kicked off that 4-game sort of stretch of, yikes, a loss to this Hornets squad. Now they're back home. The Hornets only have 1 win on the road this entire season. This is totally a Toronto spot. but 7.5 points is a lot. So what I would say here is Toronto could be part of a slimy parlay today. And if you guys are new, if you don't know what I call a slimy parlay, is one of those parlays that just like, you're not getting the best odds, but you're putting together like 2 or 3 massive favorites. When I say massive, I guess 7.5 wouldn't be massive, but it kind of qualifies here. One of those, because I think Toronto gets this win. I do worry about them on a back-to-back and being able to win by 8 points. But overall, like, what have we seen out of this, Charlotte team that makes us too excited about what's moving forward, right? They have 2 wins in their last 10 games, and guess what? Toronto, we were on that side, they beat them, and the Bulls were the other one. The game before that, they won that one too. We were on the Bulls. So the only time we've ever rolled against Charlotte has been when they are winning. So hopefully that's not the case today, but give me Toronto. I think they're the far better team, minus the 7.5 points. I should mention injuries. Jakob Poeltl is listed, well, he's listed as out right now, but again, back-to-back gives them a little bit more time to submit their lineup. LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller and Kalkbrenner are all questionable on the Charlotte side of things. If those guys play, if they don't play, I think it'll just impact the line, but in terms of us looking at, the Raptors and the money line, doesn't really impact it. I don't have the strongest of player prop takes on this one, nor total. I would say, I guess I'll just lean towards the over, because I do think, on a back-to-back here, Toronto will probably want to run, and can't exactly say that Charlotte's all this great of a world-beating defense. But again, player props, maybe something like Quickly, right? A guy that they don't cover point guards well on the Charlotte side, and he'll run in transition. I don't know why, but that reminded me, guys, we posted a new video on the second channel yesterday. It was exploring 5 different Giannis trades. I'll put that link down in the pinned comment as well as the description, and it'll be with the final plays on the site as well. But yeah, we went through 5 different trades that surely would just like shake up this league. We reacted to a couple proposed trades and whatnot, because obviously it's been in the news, right? Giannis potentially on the move. He goes down with that injury, all that good stuff. So yeah, if you want to check that out, it's on the Guy Boston Sports second channel, which is called More Guy Boston Sports, if you just want to search it up. But I'll put that link down below. We're doing a lot more fun and reactive content over there, so make sure to subscribe to that channel as well. Cavs taking on the Spurs. I think I want to start with the total in this one, because I do like the under. Now, yes, I guess we're liking a lot of unders today. I don't know if that's exactly a good thing or if my brain's just seeing unders when looking at these games, but let me talk about a couple things and why. And by the way, this is the Guy Boston dashboard. I kind of hinted at it earlier. You could see it here, GuyBostonSports.com. Head to the members area, go to the NBA dashboard, sign up today. You can also sign up for the All Sports dashboard and get access to the NFL dashboard as well. But go ahead and check it out, guys. Again, GuyBostonSports.com. Couple things I want to note here. First and foremost, neither one of these teams playing at a crazy pace, right? 23rd for San Antonio, 20th for Cleveland. Both teams not all that terrible in terms of defensive efficiency either. But the big thing that I want to note is, you look at this team and say, okay, well, San Antonio this season, right? 7th in terms of transition frequency and 4th in terms of effective field goal percentage. Now, while the Cavs are a little strugglesome here in the transition effective field goal percentage range, they're stopping their opponents from even running in transition, right? 7th in terms of frequency, so 7th fewest transition possessions against them. On the other side of things, San Antonio, the #1 team at preventing transition possessions, and also number 11 when it comes to effective field goal percentage. So I don't think that these two teams will kick it into gear and start running in transition. Now, when I say I don't think it'll happen, all of a sudden every single damn possession is going to be transition. But let's act like I'm not going to jinx it, right? Because it is a decent enough spot when you look at it from that perspective. Now, I know De'Aaron Fox, Donovan Mitchell, these guys can get the ball and run, but other than that, it's guys that do want to play some half-court basketball, right? So unless we have De'Aaron Fox and Donovan Mitchell just going off, I think this game slows down a tad here. So I like the idea of the under in this spot, 238. Obviously, I like it. We're starting with that before even talking about a side altogether, right? In terms of these two teams to this line, 238 too, this season, Spurs have hit the under in 71% of games, on the road 80% of games. Cleveland at home this year, 77% of games and 61% of 77% of home games and 61% of games overall. So yes, if you can get a good price on this under, I think it's something that we look at today. Both teams are decent enough defenses as well. Now, where do we go from a side perspective? This is a Cavs team that I've been on record, if you call, these YouTube videos records. I've never said off the record, so boom, we can count it. I've always said that, when they are fully healthy, they are absolutely amazing. And I mean that. No Darius Garland, no Jared Allen today makes it kind of tough. Now, you could argue, okay, dude, Stephon Castle, Victor Wembanyama, two of the better players on the Spurs are out. So yes, obviously that's tough, but I do think that the San Antonio team, especially if it's under game kind of back and forth, getting 4 points isn't all that terrible. I'd rather roll with the under than I would San Antonio, I will tell you that right now, but I think my lean is towards San Antonio just in general. This Cavs team, I will say though, is obviously, in a decent enough spot, being at home and only 4.5 point favorites with Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley, whereas, it's kind of De'Aaron Fox and Devin Vassell from the scoring standpoint. I know which side I think has more talent, but either way, give me the Spurs plus the 4.5, but I think that under makes its way into being a final play today, especially if we can get a really good price on a really good line. Pistons taking on the Blazers. No question in my mind who is the better team here, and honestly, the Pistons at 7.5, I know we've talked about that being a big number and whatnot. I really don't think that it is all that large here. This is a Blazers team that has had some impressive wins, I'll say, right? And they're coming off of a really good one against Cleveland. 10-point dogs. They won by 12, and it pains me to think that because we leaned towards Portland in that video, and that was on Wednesday, right? Wednesday, and it was the closest thing we had to our next final play. Now, we had a decent enough night that night anyway, so I'm not all that concerned, but my point being is that this Portland team can definitely compete. I don't know if they fully compete in this one. A team that, likes to be able to score in the paint, and Pistons are very, very good in the paint defense. Now, they're banged up big time, right? And they have been all year. Drew Holiday looks like he's going to miss another one. I've said how much I think that that's important to them, but Donovan Clingan's also questionable in this one. Now, if Donovan Clingan doesn't play, I think that Detroit just absolutely mollywops him in the paint. Two teams looking to battle in the paint. Detroit already being the better team. If they get, an opening in terms of being able to score down there with no Clingan, just a lesser big body down there, I think that they capitalize. Jalen Duren is a guy that I'd look at from a player prop perspective. He scores a lot of his points via the free throw, meaning, he gets fouled and hits foul shots. This is a Portland team that's bottom three or four in the league in terms of, free throws again. So I like this spot for him. And check it out, when at home against a bottom 10 free throw against team so far this year, he's averaging 23 points per game. He's hit it in 5 of 6 games. The only game that he didn't hit, and was really early in the year, he played 21 minutes. So if you say, okay, we'll go and play more than 21 minutes, he's literally hit it in every single. In fact, we could probably get that up right now in terms of that actual number. Yeah, so we just eliminate that via minutes, right? Playing 22 or more minutes, he's averaging 25.6 points per game. I think Jalen Duren could be a look today. Now, what we've been capitalizing on this year is Jalen Duren knocking his points line down to like 15, which is only a couple off, and taking Pistons money line. This may be a good spot to do just that as well. I don't have the strongest of takes on the total here, I will say that. I think that this one is a game in which Detroit can probably put up a decent enough number. I think Portland will push the pace and all that. So I'm going to lean Pistons team total over. But again, I don't know if I want to go full game over because I'm not sure what success we'll see the Trailblazers have in the paint overall. But let's go ahead and move on. All right, we can be quick with this one because I don't necessarily love it. I mean, you have a Jazz team that is 16.5 point dogs in some places, and I don't even think it's that crazy, which is kind of the crazy part, right? But you do have Utah coming off of a win yesterday. They're on a back-to-back. The Knicks coming off of a win against Charlotte in which they beat them by 15 points. I can't necessarily sit here and be like, oh, the Knicks are going to, or the Jazz are going to keep this game close. I just don't see it. So I'm going to lean Knicks here minus the 16 points, 15.5, 16.5, whatever the hell you get it at. But ultimately, I don't think this thing makes its way into being a final play. There is obviously, a little bit of potential there for us being worried about a big blowout type game too. So I almost hesitate from even looking into player props. And then from a total perspective, it's like, yeah, maybe the Knicks put up a big number, but I don't think you're going to catch me sitting here being like, oh yeah, I think that, the Jazz will definitely contribute, or they won't. It's really hard to judge what this offense is doing, especially on a back-to-back. So this is probably a stay-away game, but ultimately, I guess I would say Knicks. Bulls taking on the Pacers, and this game kind of comes down to one big thing and then a few ancillary things, but overall, I mean, this Bulls team has been pretty good at home, right? They're 6-3 at home straight up this season, covered in 3/4 of their games. Indiana yet to even get a win at home. They're covering less than half their games. 4.5 points is not all that crazy to ask for at all. You know what I'm saying? So I do think that we could see a decent enough spot here, I guess, for the Bulls to be able to pull away with this one. Now, I will say, like, I don't think that this Bulls team is miraculous. Their record still kind of depicts that, you know, or I should say this, they started really, really well, and now they're 9-12. Let's not forget this team was 5-0 to start the season. So obviously they're not all that great, but I think Indiana's just a little bit worse, and obviously Indiana has all the injuries and the concerns and stuff like that. So I'm going to lean towards the Bulls in this spot. I don't mind an over. I don't think either one of these defenses is all that great. And I think if there's one thing we can be assured of is that we're going to get a decent pace out of both these squads. That's kind of their MO, right? You have 2 top 10 transition teams and 2 top 5 pace teams. Rockets taking on the Suns. I want to start with a player prop in this one because we have another big spread and kind of a weird total. Alpi Şengün. I mean, this is a team in the Suns that really struggles to defend the post up. Alpi Şengün going to be posting up a ton. Right now, his line is at 22.5. I don't mind him if you want to go like 20 plus and Rockets money line if you like that same game parlay a little bit more. But I don't mind Şengün going out there and dropping even like 25 points today. You know what I mean? Like, this is a guy that should be in a pretty good spot, especially when it comes to the post up. Now, you look at him last time he played them, it's like, okay, well, he was 8 of 14. He only had 18 points against the Suns, and it's like, yikes. All right, maybe that's not exactly the best look, right? But I do think that he bounces back a little bit more here, and this may be a game in which, you know, the Rockets are kind of blowing them out, and they want some easy buckets and slow things down to kind of chew clock. Think about like a football team running the rock, right? That's how I'm looking at Şengün today. So yeah, I really do like him to score some points. I like it so much that I feel like I'm overthinking and talking myself into it, but I think the Rockets win this one handily. No Devin Booker on the side for the Suns, so I think Şengün goes out there and does his thing. I'm going to lean towards his over as well as the Rockets. Take a peek at that total. Like I said, kind of a weird one, 220.5. It's a low number, but realistically, I think this one gets to like 224 max. So now I'm kind of caught in the rock and a hard place. Like, yeah, I could see the ceiling being a few points higher than this, but if the ceiling's only 224 in this dumb brain, I guess I lean towards the under. I don't know. Şengün all the way in this one, and that's about it. Grizzlies taking on the Clippers here. So obviously still no Ja Morant, but if I'm not mistaken, I do believe he's due back fairly soon. On the Clipper side of things, you know, their injuries are still somewhat the same here. This is a tough one because I don't think either one of these teams are playing their best basketball right now, and that's like the worst time to judge a squad, right? I will say that, you know, getting points at home against this Clippers team seems fairly favorable. So I'm going to lean towards Memphis in this spot. I think that they have the rebounding advantage. They should also be able to hit their threes a little bit more. Now, not that they take a ton of threes, but without Ja, you know, you have Vince Williams, Cedric Howard, Jalen Wells. These guys will probably jack a few, you know, so I don't mind the idea of Memphis in this spot. In terms of a total, yeah, these are 2 teams that play fairly slow, but you know, I've also seen them kind of up it in transition. Neither defense is good in transition. So yeah, I'm trusting the fact that neither defense is good in transition and saying 223.5 may be gettable, right? Especially if I do like the Grizzlies to hit some threes, that should up the pace. So I'm going to lean over in this spot. From a player prop perspective, yeah, I kind of already mentioned it, I guess, right? Like Jalen Wells, Cedric Howard, Vince Williams, maybe these are looks for 3-pointers. I mean, point guard, shooting guard, small forward are the positions that they're starting at. The Clippers are bottom 10 in threes allowed over the last 7 days to all of those positions. Bucks taking on the Sixers. You have the Sixers here on a back-to-back. They won yesterday against Golden State, 99-98. The Bucks coming off of a win against Detroit a couple days ago. But no Giannis here, and we saw him go down with a non-contact injury 10 minutes after Shams tweeted out that, you know, he's on the trade block for real this time. I would say that the Sixers are, even with Giannis, are a team that I might take a peek at in this spot. So the fact that no Giannis and you're still getting just the line of -1 is probably what I ultimately end up looking at. This Sixers team, I do think, you know, the way that they play and how they play, it should be fairly favorable because obviously this is a team that likes to get into the paint, right? You have Maxey, you have Embiid, Edgecombe likes to drive, but they have the ability, especially if Paul George gets the go, to hit the threes, and that's where you're going to get Milwaukee. Milwaukee, not exactly the best perimeter defense. In fact, above the break threes this year, allowing 40.3% to their opponents. Big yikes, you know? So I do think this is worth taking a peek at, the Sixers, even though they're on a back-to-back. Now, when on back-to-backs this year, they've covered in 75% of the game, so not all that great, right? So I kind of like the spot here. Now, actually, I think they might have covered in 100% of their games, and the Bucks have not covered with a rest advantage this season. That is not when they have, no back-to-back situations against a team that is on a back-to-back. It's literally like they could have 2 days off, the other team had 1 day off. Any rest advantage, the Bucks are yet to cover there. So I will kind of keep an eye on the injuries because, again, Sixers are on a back-to-back. Do we have George? Is there going to be some yanking of a player because they're on a back-to-back? Kind of want to keep an eye on that. But as of right now, yeah, I think it's a peek at the Sixers. Total-wise, 221.5 is seemingly low for, a Sixers game in which I think that they can kind of up the tempo in transition. I'm going to lean Sixers team total over here. And I did mention Maxey Edgecombe. I would say that Paul George, if he plays, I kind of like him to hit some threes. Maybe that's a look. And then Edgecombe, again, I do think that he could have a decent enough game here as well. But yeah, weirdly enough, I do think Paul George is probably, I guess, what I'm focusing on. Thunder taking on the Mavs. I mean, the Thunder are making... when we have to cover these games, and I say have to because it's applicable here, like they make them just not even interesting, right? 15-point favorites. They're at home. Yeah, I mean, they're obviously a very good team at home. Not exactly covering, but that's, I would say, mainly because they have these massive numbers at home because they're yet to lose a game at home, but they've only covered in about half their games. So this is a spot in which, yeah, I don't necessarily love Dallas. They have won 3 games in a row. Clippers, Denver, Miami. I give them credit for those, but the Thunder are a different beast. Like, even the Nuggets and Miami, I think, are 2 of the better teams in the league, but the Oklahoma City Thunder is the best team in the league. So give me the Thunder here. I don't think that we get anything down in this game altogether, just saying that transparently, but give me them as well as probably an under. We have 2 good defenses on our hand. If there's any way Dallas stays in this game, I think it's because they play good enough defense. So I'll lean towards the under as well. Like I said, no player props. This is just a tough one. Could be a blowout, could not. All of that jazz. But guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's show. If you guys made it this far in the video, go ahead and comment 31 down below. 31. You made it over a half hour with me and my annoyance and dumbness. Really do appreciate it. Oh, and one last thing. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, evpics. We're going to be posting a lot more short form content coming up. So EVPICKZ over on Instagram. I'll leave you guys with that. Catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.